Charlie Kirk said that the death toll from the catastrophic Texas floods was the result of DEI.
Hi guys, my name is Esther Daniel and you're welcome back to the channel. So MAGA supporters try to shift blame for Texas flooding onto a black fire chief. A natural disaster somehow became racial. So before we move on to what people has to say concerning this issue, please subscribe to the channel, like and share the video to help the channel out.
According to the undergreed Charlie Kirk, people died in Texas not because of historic rainfall, crumbling infrastructure, or a failed government response, but because of black people. Sir, you dropped out of community college. You literally went through all of the people that served in the response to what happened with the Guadalupe River, and you identified the one black leader there and said that he was the reason that people died. Let's stop pretending that this is about policy. This is about projection. Gums and Teeth is part of a movement that can accept that black and brown people deserve to lead, to manage, to govern, because when we do, we expose just how shallow, scared, and unserious these types of ignorant, racist grievances really are. The Texas flooding is a tragedy. It is one of the greatest tragedies that we have seen in 2025. People lost homes, family lost loved ones, and instead of offering empathy or solutions, Gums and Teeth is blaming inclusion. Baby, the only thing that DEI is drowning out is this man's credibility. And let's be honest, it was already underwater. It was already underwater, bitch.
So an all-white fire chief association is blaming a black fire chief for the floods that happened in Texas. An all-white people are blaming a black fire chief for the floods in Texas. You're blaming the wrong color. The color you should be blaming is orange. And he's in the White House. All the blame should go to him. All of it. The nerve to blame anybody black. You had a chance to blame it on a black person, but you voted for someone who was orange when you could have voted for someone who was black. Y'all said no. 77 million of you, plus the ones who didn't vote, plus the ones who voted third party. You could have blamed it on someone black, but you didn't. So blame it on someone orange. Blaming this on a black fire chief is insane work, nefarious work, nasty.
Oh my God, you guys. Our president cares more about Israel than he does about the citizens of Texas. He is sending $4 billion a year to Israel while Kristi Noem is firing contractors who work at FEMA so they can't even answer the calls of all of the Texas flood victims. So after the floods on July 4th, on July 5th, the water started receding, and on July 5th and 6th is when they got the majority of calls, thousands of calls, like more than 20,000 calls from American citizens trying to get in touch with FEMA, but they couldn't. They couldn't even get their calls answered because Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security head, she fired all the contractors and all the people who were supposed to be answering the phones. So instead of helping Americans, what they're doing is cutting funding for emergency services, and instead they're taking that government money, that taxpayer money, and sending it over to Israel.
Hold the fuck up and shut the fuck up for a minute. You're telling me that the Republicans, that MAGA, they've stopped politicizing the Texas flood, but they're fucking praising Charlie Kirk for being racist as fuck and trying to blame the motherfucking tragedy, the deaths and the missing people on DEI? Are you serious?
They're so despicable. The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country. What you are not being told by the media anywhere is that the death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI.
We told the MAGA in Texas, don't forget what you voted for, because you voted for the funding for the necessary agencies to help you during these natural disasters. You voted to underfund and cut the funding to them. Don't forget that you voted for that, and you voted for the livelihoods of everybody else to be affected. But now you're turning around trying to give crocodile tears. That's what we said. Don't politicize it. Don't politicize it. Then what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? You guys just, every time it's time to take some accountability, let's just throw all the dog whistles out there. DEI, illegal, undocumented. It's like, give it a fucking break. Give it a fucking break, dog. Like, this shit, Charlie Kirk is so fucking ugly, but like, give it a fucking break, dude. Give it a fucking break. I'm tired of hearing him, tired of looking at him. Stop putting this motherfucker on my feed because I'm tired of hearing this type of dumb shit coming from MAGA, coming from the fucking Republicans. It's old.
All y'all saying Trump cut funding, we had to cut funding. The Democrats, Joe Biden, sent billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. Just think if that money had been spent right here. That's why Trump's having to cut funding.
I'm glad we can agree on one thing. I'm glad that we can agree that Trump's budget cuts had a direct impact on this tragedy in Texas, this flood. I'm glad we can agree on that. But you don't get to blame a previous administration and their budget for the budget that this administration just passed. Because I have been hearing it for 6 motherfucking months that we need to cut taxes so that I can have a little bit more money in my pocket. You all want to cut services that benefit everybody so that you can have a little bit more money in my pocket. And this is a direct fucking result of that. Direct result. And 80% of that money being sent to Ukraine was old fucking equipment. I know because my unit got entirely new Bradleys, but that's besides the point. The real issue is that collectively, us as a society went to the voting pamphlet and we made a decision. Am I okay with more people dying by cutting social services so that I can have money in my pocket? And the majority of Americans said yes. That is the harsh reality of the decisions that we make. Just for the record, I'm not blaming this tragedy on people that voted for Trump, man. This tragedy is way too fucking serious. But there are consequences to how we vote. There are consequences to cutting climate science's budget. You do not get to blame any other administration.
Y'all not gonna believe what I'm about to tell y'all. If they started blaming the Texas flood on black people, look at this.
What you are not being told by the media anyway is that the death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI. This Texas tragedy is just the latest example.
Of all the MAGA people out here, Charlie Kirk is probably the dumbest. And this dude keeps on bragging about not going to college. You should have gone to college. You should have, because you are dumb as a motherfucker. Blaming a natural disaster on black people is wild. That's God's work. God is doing that. Does that mean that Charlie Kirk believes that God is a person of color? Because you're blaming a natural disaster on black people. Does that mean that you believe that God is a person of color? I'll take that.
So it didn't take long for the MAGA white nationalists to blame black people. Whenever they have a chance, they'll blame black people, gay people, women. So the folks on the ground, the white men, are blaming a black fire chief for the disaster and the deaths in Texas. Yep. An all-white fire chief association is blaming a black fire chief. A Fox News pundit is blaming this black fire chief. Charlie Kirk is calling it another DEI hire that has resulted in tragic deaths. You guys want to know who they're blaming? The fire chief of Austin, Texas. Austin is 2.5 hours away from Hunt, Texas, the hardest hit part of the flood, where the Christian camp is located. 2.5 hours away, they're blaming a black fire chief. This is their effort, if you can't see it by now, to put only white, straight men in leadership positions, in power, accumulating all the wealth, and having everybody else work in menial slave labor type jobs. This is why education is being gutted. This is why DEI has been destroyed. This is why brown people are being deported. This is all of it. He must have been the closest black fire chief they could find, 2.5 hours away.
Real quick trigger warning, because I'm triggered, so I'm probably going to pull some triggers. But I'm a sucker for difficult conversations, and today I'm speaking directly to MAGA. I don't care what y'all say in these comments. I see you guys talking about the tragic flooding happening in the state of Texas, and I'm here to remind you, it's not just Texas. It's the tornadoes in Oklahoma and Missouri. It's the rapidly approaching hurricane season for the state of Florida. It's Asheville being left in ruins because Biden gave them FEMA relief that Trump took away. And every time I remind you guys, this is what you voted for, you want to cry. Now's not the time to talk politics. Now is exactly the time to talk politics. Because you thought your political allegiances were going to own the libtards. You just handed us an I told you so movement. Oh, but the children, there's children. The children are suffering. Think of the children because they didn't vote, but you did. You're the same people who voted to defund every child in America's education. You're the same people who voted to rip children out of the arms of their parents and be sent to concentration camps. You're the same people who bullied an 11-year-old girl by threatening to call ICE on her parents until she committed suicide. Clutching to your Second Amendment right so you can overthrow an oppressive regime while installing one, and laughing at the libtards because we begged you to think of our innocent children being shot and murdered in school, at the mall, at parades. You're the same people who sent $675,000 to Shiloh Hendrix's GoFundMe because she called a 5-year-old child, the N-word. The same people who voted to take away food and health care from the poor children in your communities. You voted away the National Weather Association and FEMA that could have prevented the casualties and compensated the loss of property. And you want to say, now's not the time to talk politics. Let's think of the children. I will not think of your children. Because when you thought of mine, you actively wished evil upon them. And I don't wish evil upon children, but I damn sure won't send help to yours when you laughed at mine for being shot at school. Or other children for losing food, or their parents, or you rejoiced at the idea of a child escaping a concentration camp to be eaten by a fucking alligator. A lot of y'all expect me to give a fuck about kids that you don't. No. If you're not thinking of how your vote affects the safety and future of your children, I'm not thinking about it. I'm trying to fix the world you ruined to save my fucking children. I expect to see every able-bodied Trump supporter out there doing search and rescue for every natural disaster that hits, sending all of their Social Security and temporary assistance for needy families to the GoFundMe to pay for funeral and home repair. That is on y'all. It's not on us. I'm not even going to send a thought or a prayer because I will not actively interrupt the wrath of God to stop your karma. He is in real time showing you that he don't fuck with y'all for using his name in vain. This isn't just what you voted for. It is undoubtedly what you deserve. You should be so thankful that you're paying for the disgusting sins of blasphemy in this life and not the fucking next, because that one is eternal. Have the fucking day you voted for.